All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this pair distinguished lecture series. You probably know that the pair organized this distinguished lecture series once every month during the semester. And this is the second one in the fall 2023. And we'll have another one next month. We'll announce that later on. At the pair, at this moment, we have 11 research institutes and 5 research centers working on the different areas. As you see on the slides behind me. By the way, my name is Qingyan Chen. I am the director of PAIR, or the Purdue Academy for Interdisciplinary Research. So today, we are very lucky to have a distinguished speaker who is very young. Let me just introduce him. His name is Professor Chulhong Kim from Chulhong University of Science and Technology. In short, it's a post-tech in South Korea. So he has a very long title. It will take me a couple of minutes to read his title, but let me make it short. So Professor Kim is the Professor of Electrical Engineering, Conversions IT Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, Medical Science and Engineering, and Interdisciplinary Bioscience and Bioengineering. Long enough. As a post-tech, he currently holds the Nango Chair Professorship and the Young Distinguished Professorship and the Myungja Chair Professorship. Professor Kim's engineering excellence is evidenced by novel biomedical imaging techniques, which he and his team developed. We'll hear some of those today, so I'm not going to give the details. Professor Kim received his PhD degree from Washington University in the US. He was a faculty member at the University of Buffalo before joining post-tech in 2013. He has published over 220 papers in prestigious peer-reviewed journals, including Nature Nanotechnology, Laser and Photonics Reviews, IEEE journals, etc. Professor Kim is the director of Post-Tech's Medical Device Innovation Center, as well as the chief executive officer of Optical, which is a spin-off company to commercialize photoacoustics imaging systems. He is a member of the National Academy of Engineering of Korea, and also a member of Young Korean Academy of Science and Technology, as well as a fellow of the International Society for Optics and Photonics and Optica. So Professor Kim has received extensive recognitions for his contributions to the advancing biomedical applications. Among the honors, he was awarded the 2022 Photoacoustics Journal Elsevier Best Paper Award, the 2022 Korean Presidential Award from the Ministry of SMEs and Staffs, and the first place in 2021 Lena 50 Plus Creative Innovation Award. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our distinguished speaker, Professor Chulhong Kim.
Thank you. May I stand out there? Yeah, that would be better. All right, thank you so much for warm introduction from Professor Chen, and thank you so much for the kind invitation from Professor Lai and Professor Low. It's my great honor to share my, personal experience over the last 14 years. So I start my first independent career as a professor from 2010. And then now I'm full professor in the university. So it's kind of, I go through all, professorship from assistant, associate, and full professor. I can share some experience. I started my own business about 5 years ago as an entrepreneur. I'm still struggling, but I can share my experience. About 3 years ago, I working for the university as an administrator. So I can share some, what we are currently thinking, how we reform the education in science and technology university, and those kind of stuff I can share. So topic, I thought about, so recently, we think about healthcare innovation because we all go through COVID-19 pandemic, right? So healthcare, interest about healthcare from the public is extremely high right now. Because, if you look at the major research R&D agenda in every country, they're talking about biomedical healthcare. But however, that's what typically people says, but, money or research funding is not exactly, put into that research area in South Korea, because South Korea is famous for other business like a semiconductor, automobile, other IT. So, but through the pandemic, everybody aware about these healthcare problems, and then people are in South Korea, they're talking about we need to revisit these types of a business. So that's why I can share some of my personal experience. Before I start, I want to introduce our university. It's called POSTECH, Pohang University of Science and Technology. It's established about 36 years ago. We are the private university, and also maybe I can show you here where we are. So we are the southern eastern part of the South Korea. The population, the city name is Pohang. The population of our city is about 50 million people. No, it's 500,000 of people. So we are the private university owned by called POSCO. POSCO is a steel company. It's still one of the largest steel company in the business. So this company has kind of histories, after World War II, after Korean War, entire South Korea or North Korea is devastated, right? And then during 1960s and 70s, Korean government need to promote economy. This is the first company who worked for that, because we didn't have the money. We received the money from Japan for the remuneration for the World War II. Using that money, government built the steel company in Pohang to, promote South Korean economy. Although it's a private company, they have a strong spirit to return back to the South Korean public. So that's why, after almost 20 years of the establishment of the company, they said they need to establish the university in the town to pay back to the South Korea. So that's the POSTECH. POSTECH is the first research-oriented university in South Korea. Before 1986, there was no university in South Korea doing really research. This is the first research-oriented universities. So that's why if you look at the number of students, we have about 3,900 total number of students, but undergraduate only 1,400. We have more graduate students than the 2,500. So we only accept 320 undergraduate students per year. So undergraduate school is a small, but we focus, and then we invest more, resources for graduate study. Total tenure track faculty member is about 300. We keep controlling under the 300. So this is some number. Actually, all the students get the scholarship. Actually, their scholarship percentage is more than 100%. So basically, they get more benefit from the universities. So we typically spend about 100,000 US dollars to the per student per year. The faculty to student ratio is 4.9. Each faculty member, we roughly about 1 million research funding per year, and they publish about 7 papers per year. And that's why we are focused. Before the COVID-19, everything is contact and localized, and then many people doing individual research. But after the COVID-19, we said it shouldn't be contact anymore. It should be untact. And worldwide, we are not the localized university anymore. We want to move to the outside of South Korea, and also more like open innovations. So it's exactly spirit of the pair is interdisciplinary, merge it together, work together. That's kind of open innovation we are seeking for. So there are typically 5 research areas we are focusing on. Definitely is AI, IT technology, biohealthcare, and the post-tech is a kind of famous for material science, energy material, and some smart technology, including all this, basic science, physics, biology, chemistry, and mathematics. So one thing, I just wanna show, that's what our event we had this year. So any person heard about the conference called Consumer Electronics Show, CES, every year held in Las Vegas, January? No, anyone heard about that? Right, this is one of the biggest conference in the world. So all famous IT technology company like Google, Tesla, Samsung, LG, Apple never show up, but except Apple, all biggest company in the world coming into here, that they show the future of the life. Okay, so I joined personally this conference as an administrator in the university last year and this year. In the last year, basically, I saw there, and there is a title said, what's the meaning of a CES? CES, is the where creative gets wing. Through the CES, people generate, increase creativity, and then they see the future of the human life. And then, people are working more to make the dream really possible. That's the kind of a conference. So I joined from 2022. I talked to my president, not just only few people in the university. Students need to come to this conference to see the futures. So what we decided in 2023, we bring all the students who entered the university in 2020. So we brought about 250 students to Las Vegas, and then this is our student. We actually walk around some desert area in Vegas. And then that actually changes students' mind. But it certainly requires a lot of money. So we thought we can do once this year. Why 2020 entering student? Because those students suffer from COVID-19. They didn't come to the school for 3 years. So we just give them a little bit of the benefits. But I think it's going to be continued because currently there is a massive research funding opportunities going on in South Korea. It's almost $400 million, and we are applying. It looks like we are getting. Then every year we are going to take the student to the CES. So later I can talk about CES a little bit more. So why healthcare technology? Certainly, aging population, people are getting old, and also live longer. And then diseases are more diverse. So that's why, because of this, in the United States, they said that they should make a new approach called personalized medicine. It's a similar word, precision medicine, preventive medicine. It's a very similar, but some people use different languages. So life expectancy is increased. And also we realize world medical market is significantly increased. And then this is a regulatory business. It's controlled by regulation, but FDA approval for these types of product is getting increased. So there are more opportunities, right? In other words, let's look at the 2020. I think it's a lot of students born is after 2000, but 2000, we call the dot-com bubble. The red shows is market share in the healthcare among others, like finance. Hong Kong is famous for the finance, like IT, consumers. in 2007, there's another crisis called World Financial Crisis. So this is before the crisis. If you look at the after the crisis, all other market share dropped down except healthcare. Healthcare is increased. Particularly after the crisis, S&P 500 dropped down 30%. Medical only dropped down 10%, bio 10%. All right. If you look at the more recent activity after COVID-19, early 2020, look at the stock market, it significantly dropped down, right? But healthcare is different. So that's why it's coming. It's a very strong resistance to the recession. Now, which means you cannot make a lot of money like IT technology, like a ChatGPT, all this AI technology boom the stock market. However, healthcare is not like that, but it's a strong, stable, and then very strong to the recession. Another key is direct impact on humanity, right? Everybody want to live longer. That's the nature of a human being. I learned from Chinese histories, right? BC 259. First unified country dynasty in China, right? It is a empire, Qin Shi Huang. Am I right? He didn't want to die. That's I learned from the history book. He's looking for the eternal, living. That's the nature of the human. So this is more recent data. Change in stock market after the pandemic. I checked actually, true price of each company because that's what I own. I have, big tech, a lot of stocks. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Nvidia. You see how much the stock is dropped compared to 2021 and 2022. Big tech, Apple and Microsoft, those are company really strong. That's only dropped to 20%. But all others is more than 40, 50. Average change like minus 40%. But look at the healthcare companies, like Pfizer, they saved the world actually. Eli Lilly, they gained the 30%. Nowadays, even better because they launched the first drug to get losing the weight. Their stock is rocket high right now. Roche, Abbott, how strong they're in the recessions. And even so, over the last 30 years, from the dot-com bubble, from the world financial crisis, COVID-19, we keep learning lessons. Healthcare business is strong for the recession. So I said, let's go back to the CES. I was in, this is a keynote, they call digital healthcare in CES, the future of the care in America, new hybrid model. So there are 5 experts come down, they have a forum. So typically, this is a consumer electronics show. Healthcare company doesn't come to this conference. Like I said, Google, Samsung, these types of company are coming. From 2020, 2022, healthcare company we start joining. The first company join is called Abbott. Abbott, that's the company is making, handling diabetic patient care using IT technologies. They delivered the first plenary speech in 2022. Now it's become bigger. I would say in 2024 CES, I think healthcare sector is going to be even bigger. What they discuss about, pandemic is an opportunities. Now everybody aware about importance of healthcare. Second, partnership, collaboration. If you go to the CES, not many medical doctors are coming. It's a IT engineer, the guy who working on technology, engineers, scientists are coming, not MD. So what they said, MD, medical doctor need to attend the CES. This is more true healthcare. And typically, like us, engineer, we push the technology. But healthcare business, we shouldn't push the technology. It should be technology poor. We need to define the problem first, and then we need to find the solution. So that's why MD's input are really, really important in this technology. So how technology reduces the gap between patient and healthcare? So healthcare is a controlled business. There are a lot of regulations we need to carefully take a look at to reduce the gap. And they're also talking about data. So much data is generating nowadays. Among them, healthcare data is the most. However, they're asking, can we trust it? There are so many junk data out. So for example, if you meet the doctor regularly, let's say every 6 months, typically, your physician asks you to write down survey. In the survey, they're asking, do you smoke? Yes. For example, how many cigarettes do you smoke? Let's say 1 carton or 10, 5. For example, one person smoke 1 carton per day, but they always said, only I smoke 5. They ask how regularly you drink. I drink, let's say 3 days a week, but I only say in the survey 1 time a week, right? This is all fake data. We have trusted data. That's what I'm saying. Trusted data is important. And then nowadays, due to boom of AI, people say software, software, software. The problem, our hardware technology cannot follow the software. That's the problem. So they're saying we need to revisit the hardware to follow software development. Finally, education is important. How? Medical doctors working in the clinic, scientists working in the research lab. How we reduce the gap between these two? They said, in America said, is a physician scientist. We called MD, PhD, or other words. Well, that's why, we highly motivate. Actually, we work to develop new medical school in post-tech, over last several years. And then I would say this is the global trending. So we try to establish core engineering-based medical education, fostering. We are not talking about medical doctor. We are not talking about MD, PhD. We said clinical innovator. So what is the difference? Typical MD working in the hospital, already existing medical school, they are doing research, but it's more science. It's they call fundamental medical science. If you go to the medical school, there are people working on fundamental medical science in pathology, microbiology, whatever. We are not talking about this. We should engineer jumping into the medical market, need to work with the doctors, or we become a doctor and solve the real real medical problems. And then we shouldn't stop at that point. We should go beyond that, which is commercialization. That's what we call the innovator. Generate revenue, make a medical impact in the field. Okay. So the main why these types of activity happen in South Korea, this is the hottest political topic in South Korea right now. If you look at the newspaper in South Korean newspaper, number 1, they want to make a new medical school in Korea. They're fighting between engineering school and medical school right now. So the first thing is coming from number of medical doctors in South Korea is very limited. Okay, we have a 50 million population. Among them, we generate only 3,000 medical doctors per year. I heard today, Hong Kong, how many, the population is 7.some million. And then among 7.some million, you generate about 600 medical doctors. All right. So if you see the ratio, we should at least, if we have equivalent ratio with Hong Kong, we should have 5,000 medical doctors per year. So we are very short of that. Another size is the market size. South Korea is famous for semiconductor, automobile, shipping business. So if you add all the market size of the semiconductor, automobile, shipping, South Korea is 20% of entire semiconductor is from South Korea, 10% automobile. Shipping also is about 20 to 30% of entire market we share. Now, if you add them all, although you add them all, it's much smaller than healthcare business. But South Korea, market share for the healthcare is less than 1%. It's almost like they're talking about 0.1%. So we should increase this share. So post-tech need to be the first to have those kind of things in South Korea. That's one thing. Another one, we heavily working on the health, like a research side. The post-tech is ranked number 2 in the world in terms of size of the school. So we are strong in research, so we can do this. That's why we claim we are not generated clinical innovator. So 35% of faculty member in the university working on biomedical. Another one called field weighted citation index. That's the paper published, they see the citation impact in the field is very high. More importantly, last few years, 80% of technology license from the university in biomedical area. So only 20% from others. 30% of the university income from the technology license from biomedical healthcare. So why not? We need to do, these types of, we need to promote. So post-tech has the kind of full cycle of research, biomedical research infrastructures. So research facility, we call the Chulhong X-ray accelerator. It's like a 3rd generation, 4th generation. So particularly 4th generation linear accelerator, there are only 3 units in the world. We have one, and also we have an Institute of Membrane Protein, this development of new drug. And then second unit for technology commercialization is called translational research. We have a biotech center, and we have a medical device innovation center where I'm directing. The last one is called startup entrepreneur development units. It's called change of ground. It's incubating centers. In the center of the university, we make a new building, invest almost $80 million for the business, incubating centers. So whatever technology start from the university, they start the company inside but they start the company from that building. So I think this is kind of, fully support the faculty member initiate the business. So we're working on 3 main research area. One is called predictive medicine. It's a advanced medical device or data-driven, AI-driven medical analysis types of research, and then pharmacogenomics and making new drug development. Somehow post-tech is very famous for regenerative medicine using called the bioprinting. So we are working on heavily in tissue engineering and artificial organs. These are some, like during the COVID-19, we do have a lot of study, drug discovery, 3D bioprinting, and medical devices for COVID-19 we're working on. So this is kind of form of the medical school and the hospital. So we are like a graduate program for the medical school. We are only accept 50 students, MD and PhD, MD, PhD only. So I heard about Hong Kong University of Science and Technology is trying to have the new medical school. They don't have an MD program only. They have MD, PhD program for graduate level. That's what exactly same what we are doing. So 8 years of program, 2 years of the MD plus 4 years of PhD, another 2 years of MD. That's the entire 8 years program as a graduate school. And then for the hospital, we talking about about 500 bed, called the smart hospital. Smart hospital means heavily optimized for data collection and data processing. So it's a smart hospital. It's not just using all kinds of IT technology, but controlling data for the hospital is extremely important. So efficient way to control the hospital, that's what we call the smart hospital. That's what we are aiming for. All right. So that's the kind of medical school part. And then we can come back to our center called Medical Device Innovation Center. In 2020, actually, we formed this center in 2015 and collect faculty members. And then we developed this center. I was the PI. And then in 2020, we applied the federal funding from the Minister of the Education. It's a 9 years funding. So, it's multi, tens of $millions. And then, fortunately, we acquired that funding and then we can run. The vision of this research center is a clinical translation and commercialization. At the same time, we need to train the world global leader in this field. So we focus on 3: medical sensing and devising, medical materials, and bioprinting and tissue engineering on top of all this data-driven, AI-driven structure. So from basic research, we need to translate to the company and hospital. Eventually we are going to commercialize, and at the same time, we need to educate. So from that center, there will be startup companies coming out, and also there is technology license. So you can see, this closed loop, which is important because we in South Korea, many universities are talking about sustainability. How long, how sustainably we can control, we can maintain our team. So this is going to be important, right? So typically university or research center run by the government funding, government funding is coming from taxpayer. So I told in the lunch meeting, so taxpayer, not patient, why research budget is cut? Because, you working in the university, but if you outside the university, all the public people, now they don't care where their tax goes. But let's see, over time goes by, they are talking about where my tax goes. Okay, tax coming into the university. So what kind of research you are doing? Is there any, impactful research are going on? That's what they are looking at. Taxpayers are doing. So it should be sustainable, and we should say our technology is very useful for your life. So that's our aim. So currently we have this is last year's statistics, about 120 people. Looks like this year more than 150. It's about 100 papers published last year, but among 4 faculty members. Last year we have 4 faculty. Now we have 7 faculty members. We hired 3 medical doctors in the center. The patent is about 20, and then we have about $7 million research funding per year. For last year, 7 faculty. This year, I would say it's increased a little bit more. So then, I can share some of my entrepreneurial activity and what kind of business I'm doing. So I established the company in 2018, but before 2018, actually, that started from 2015. So former president of our university, his name is Professor Young-Min Kim. He's a very famous in engineering, in medicine and science. There is an IEEE society called IEEE EMBS. He was the former president of the society. He was the department chair in bioengineering at University of Washington more than 10 years. And he became the president of our university. And he came to, and then he talked to the faculty member, not just only doing research, we should have some business types of activity. After his presidency, he came to the department as a regular faculty member. And then he came to my lab, and then he looking at my research progress, and he talked to me, hey, Dr. Kim, there is a 2 startup business opportunity from your outcomes. So, and then what he said, we need to make a business plan. So we made a business plan from 2015. Basically, we have 2 business plans, but one of them is optical. Another one, we actually preparing next startup companies. So what optical does, Optic means light. Co means echo. That is a sound. It's a combination of the sound and light. And we try to commercialize our technology called photoacoustics. So this is the short summary of our company. And then, I was the founder and the CEO. And then in 2021, we received the Series A funding of $6 million US. Post valuation is about $25 million. So early next year, I'm looking for another funding like called Series B. It's going to be about 15 million. And then hopefully post valuation is going to be like 80 million to the 100 million. That's how you grow in the business. Currently, we have about 20 faculty members. Revenue this year is about 600K. I think hopefully it's going to increase a little bit more. So what we are targeting is a healthcare. I said technology push or technology pull. That's most important. We need to define the problem first. So we are currently target the disease name called peripheral vascular disease. It's called PVD. So all the countries, I think the Chinese market is extremely increasing in that sense. Aging population, smoking, unhealthy diet that generate lifestyle disease, mainly high blood pressure, diabetes, and the obesities. All these kind of, lifestyle disease generate vascular problem. So vascular problem mainly coming into the three ways: heart attack, brain damages, and the last one, the problem in the foot. That's called peripheral vascular disease. So, as I said, if someone has the problem in vascular system, that happens everywhere, heart, brain, and foot. But, heart is life-threatening, brain is life-threatening, and heart, foot cases, relatively easy to care. So if someone has the problem on the foot, eventually they cut their leg. It's called amputation. And then that actually leads to the high risk of a heart attack, stroke, or death. But I don't think Chinese people really care about the foot right now. Even in South Korea, not that much. However, if you go to America, there are specialized clinic called podiatry clinics. So every diabetes patient visit the podiatric clinic every 3 months or every 6 months. But thinking about, economy is growing, in Chinese economy, the South Korean economy is growing and growing and growing. So, lifestyle more close to Western style, eventually these types of disease coming into our life. This is a clinical flow. As I said, patient, so whenever you look at the bio, you need to know how patient goes. Initially, they come to the podiatric clinic. It's a foot clinic. Now, if you come to the foot clinic, what they are doing, they don't do anything. They just asking questions. Do you feel something on your foot? Some patients said, I don't feel anything. So what they are doing, they just puncture the foot. Do you feel something? Said, oh, patient, oh, I don't know. And then what they said, they prescribe the drug. Patient come back after 3 months. And after 3 months, what they are doing, asking to patient to walk 30 meters. And they ask them, how do you feel? Is that different from the 3 months ago or now? That's what their question is. So everything is a survey. And also called the physical examination. They touch, asking the question. There is no device really. Now, if they have obvious blockage of blood vessels, they go other department called non-invasive vascular lab. They have some devices there. And the radiology department, they have some device. But they must have obvious symptom to block the blood vessels. And then, if they see the blocked blood vessel in the leg, and then they do some treatment, and they keep monitoring using some devices. So these are the devices, what there are people using in the hospital. One called the ABI. ABI is called ankle brachial index. They measure the difference in blood pressure between ankle and then here. if they see the blood pressure difference, they think there might be issue in blood flow in the leg. Sensitivity, of this technology is terrible. Like 20% sensitivity. It's not accurate. So even medical doctor don't trust this data. Once it's blocked, they use all kinds of technology here. Like a CT/MR is called angiography. Is that 2 minutes you said? Excuse me? Oh, sorry, 10 minutes. All right. I thought it's 2 minutes. Wow. So once it's blocked, it's done. But we are not find before the blockage of the blood vessels. So then another one, CT/MR, in order to see the blood vessels, you need to inject some drug. This cause, complications. Sometimes people die because of the drug injection. So we don't want to use all this. We just regularly images the human food to measure the blood flow information. So the market is increased. As I said, from US, move to Japan, and then South Korea, from South Korea to China. I think all these types of patients will significantly increase. Even if you look at the India, the patient will dramatically increase. The number of patients in cardiovascular disease, brain vascular disease is coming automatically peripheral vascular disease. All right, it's a dramatically increase. I would say patient doesn't increase. Patient already there, we don't find the patient. And then we use some technology called photoacoustic. So ultrasound, in the regular ultrasound, you can see the hospital. They actually, principle of ultrasound, they generate the ultrasound through the cold transducer, and then they transmit and they receive the sound echo. In photoacoustic is another technology. Now, it's very similar to the ultrasound, but slightly different. We don't send the ultrasound. And then we send the light, like a typically laser. And then the laser generate the ultrasound. We receive the ultrasound using the regular ultrasonic machine. Wow, this phenomena is you never heard about that, right? But typically you can see this phenomena in our daily life. In heavy rainy day, I think Hong Kong, sometimes there is heavy rainy day here around this area. You see the lightning, and once the lightning happens, right after that, you hear the thunder. That's the photoacoustic effect. We are exposed to this effect in daily life. So we use this one for the biomedicals. It's a very simple. We shine the laser and then we receive the sound wave. But what's the benefit of this technology? So since we are sending the light, we specifically find some material or target which have the light sensitive. Whatever has the color in your body, inside of your body, we can see. So, mainly blood vessel has the most of the colors in our body. So we can see blood vessel very clearly without any inject drug. So this is the concept. We shine the light, we receive the sound wave, and then we form the images. So this is kind of movie we acquired from the healthy volunteers. So gray shows a regular ultrasound. Color shows, called photoacoustic image of the human foot. So we don't need to inject any drug. And then small size of blood vessel, we can clearly see. So if we use this technology in the hospital, now you think about the scenario, right? Previously, endocrinology department, podiatric department, vascular lab, they used to call ABI, TBI. If a patient go to the radiology, people use ultrasound, MR, and CT. If after the treatment, they use another technology. But however, if you use this technology from examination to the therapy monitoring, we can use a single image modality because it's non-invasive, don't need to inject any drug. So these are research article we just tested on regular person. So initially we acquired just the ultrasound image of a human foot. Now you can see the movie, like a scanner is moving. You can see the flash of the light here. I don't know this is working. Okay, flash of the light. You acquire two images. Grayscale is a regular ultrasound, color shadow, photoacoustic imaging. And then we see the blood vessel on the humans. So this paper is published in radiology. It's a top journal in radiology. And then last year, this one selected top number 3 most cited paper which published in 2022. So it's a very reliable way, not just only, this peripheral arterial disease. We can apply this technology for cancers, for example, thyroid, breast, preclinical pharmacokinetics, or some regenerative medicine and others. So there is a lot more opportunity we can apply to others. And this one example called thyroid cancer here. People are so panicked if someone heard about I have cancers, but thyroid cancer is not very dangerous. However, people are saying, thyroid cancer incidence rate is significantly increased even in South Korea, but they say, but it doesn't mean really incidence rate is increased, okay? Ultrasound technology is too good to find the thyroid cancers. So, but this is, I think, the example you need to take a look at. If you look at whether these types of a problem we need to tackle or not. Ultrasound is the gold standard for thyroid cancer and breast cancer for Asian women, all right? But they never miss the cancer. What do you mean? I mean, they never miss the cancer. They call the sensitivity. Why they never miss? If you look at the thyroid nodule using ultrasound, on breast and thyroid cancer, the medical doctor, they give them a score, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, if there is a suspicious, they don't know whether it's a tumor cancer or not. They always said cancers. So that's why they never miss it. If they suspicious, they said cancers. Seriously. But if you heard there is cancer, you don't really need to be panicked, okay? And then what happened after that? They go biopsy. Biopsy gives a definitive, solution. In South Korea, biopsy is cheap. It's a laborious. I think China may be the cheap. So it's not a big problem because it's cheap procedure. In America, biopsy is very expensive. So they need to reduce the number of biopsy, but they need to find the cancer properly. That called special terminology called specificity. Finding cancer called the sensitivity. If we miss the cancer, that's the problem. Patient can die, right? You should find the cancer almost 100%. At the same time, you need to improve the specificity. That's the number you need to improve, then you can reduce the medical cost. This is important because aging population, medical cost is increased. Increasing medical cost, increase the insurance. That's the way you can reduce the medical cost. So we improve the specificity to 55%. It sounds low, but this number is very high compared to the regular ultrasound. So that's why commercial opportunities. So these are what we are doing. Maybe I can skip here. So we're also interested in human neck. It's called the carotid artery. There is a big blood vessel is related to the brain functions. It's going to be very impact. So these are clinical work our company really pushing. And then this is the device we currently undergoes or Korean FDA approval process. This is another headache and another difficulty part, I say. This is a regulatory business. So this is kind of, device we are working on the human foot. This is my employer. He acquired the images. You see automatically we see the images on the screen. So it's the blood vessel of the human foot, you can see. All right. Maybe I can skip or others is a small minor stuff I can do in the research side. So we have 2 more faculty members, which I hired about 5 years ago. He was Professor Sungmin Park. He's working on fully automated artificial pancreas system. It's called diabetes patient. They put the insulin pump on the hair and then they automatically put the insulin. So these types of business, like a Medtronics, number 1 medical device company in the world, Abbott, they're heavily working on diabetes patient. for artificial pancreatic systems. So he's working on that. Another professor, his name is Gina Zhang, the company name called BioBricks. Her expertise in called the bioprinting. So using 3D printing technology, they put in the cell and she's making artificial organs, the organoid. So you heard about ink and inkjet printer business, right? Inkjet printer, the price of the inkjet printer is extremely cheap. But after that, ink is going to be very expensive because it's consumable. This types of business is exactly the same thing. They put the bio printers everywhere in the hospital, and then people need to use bio ink for tissue engineering. So initially, our team started from 4 faculty members. Now it becomes 7. But among 4 faculty members, 3 of them we started the startup company, and then my case is in the Series B research funding. The other 2 they are having the Series A research funding. So it's kind of our habit, our culture to have the technology license and commercial stuff. Last 2 pieces I learned from this President Youngmin Kim, our former president. What is the ideal attributes of the graduate student? I keep talking to my student like honest integrity. Don't lie. This is very important. Passion, self-motivation, hardworking, all good words. But I would like to emphasize one thing. Nowadays, I really important is called excel under the pressure and ambiguity. So what's the difference between superstar in sports and good player? Who is doing really excellent under the pressure, right? Superstar in sports, right? Different from the good. There are so many good players, but who make the superstar? Under the pressure, last minute, someone make a goal in soccer. That's the superstar. Like a Messi, Ronaldo. That's what stand out there. So I think it's excellence under the pressure is very important. And then students said, what is the ideal attributes for the faculty member? I think this is also very important. Outstanding scholarship is again integrity. So President Youngmin Kim keep talking to me, you have a leadership, you have a vision, you have this. In the end, integrity is the most important. Because he always said, if your story is in front of the New York Times newspaper, still you should be very clean, right? Integrity. If you have a problem with integrity, although you are doing really good, at the end, because of that, you will be the problem. So another I like for the faculty member is here multitasking and multi-level. Faculty members should be able to communicate with top levels of people, from the low levels of students. So multi-level communication and working is very important for the good faculty members. But these are the good words that maybe you can take a look at. That's final slide in our team's vision and mission. I think we should tackle, we should do groundbreaking fundamental science and research in the university. And then second is the front-end development. It's a front-end development beyond the research lab. So whatever student develop in the research lab, engineering level is not enough for the commercialization. I think engineer should have very good industry levels of the engineering skills. Third one, since we are working in the healthcare, meaningful but unconventional clinical application. The meaning is there are so many meaningful applications, but if you approach it conventionally, our work is, we are not different from others. Should be working on unconventional one. Last one, again, is value creating through the technology commercialization. That's why we only need to pay back to the taxpayers. All right, thank you so much. Without any of these team member, I'm not able to do anything. Thank you for your attention. Okay.
Still waiting for my
Oh,
colleague.
right.
You can say.
Right. Thank you, Professor Kim, for your very insightful talk.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe while we are reading some of the comment, maybe see whether there are any question from the floor first. Yeah, please.
Yeah, President. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Professor King have done very good job. I really enjoyed the talk.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. I have two questions. The first one is more general. You know, you talk about how the faculty could also become the company leaders, right? Like
Right.
you. And, you know, like at the PolyU, we try to encourage the faculty member to do the same thing.
Right.
And, you know, as a faculty, we're already under certain pressure, you know, to publish, etc.
Right.
Now you add another layer of, I guess, challenges. You talk about the Excel under pressure.
Right.
So what are the motivation you have to just bear this the durable pressure?
Right.
And that's the first question. Then the second question is more technical. When you talk about your product optical, which seems excellent, you know, this non-invasive detection method definitely is the best for any patient. So I just wonder how accurate is that? Can you get rid of all the biopsies you just mentioned just by using your optical?
All right. Yes, let me answer for the first question. So yeah, it's the tough, right? So like I tell my students all the time, I'm full professor, doesn't need to be promoted. I still have 20 years to retire, right? So I need to teach one course per semester. So that means I only spend 2.5 hours coming into the school, teach the student. You know, I don't go to the lab. I don't see what my student does. Sometimes, you know, I just only receive the report. You know, life is so boring. So first of all, I should have the passion. So I always set my goal every 10 years. So in 20s, my goal was to getting PhD and become a professor. So at age of 31, I become the professors. For my 30s life, you know, I want to survive as a professor. Need to be promoted from assistant, associate, and professor. That's my goal in 30s. You know, for my age of 40s, my goal I set is a business success, you know. So because I already professor, looks like, you know, lab is working good. Students do hard working, they publish nice paper. So, you know, I help them a little bit to publish in the paper, but you know, as a my goal in 40s, business success. I don't have any plan for 50s, but you know, maybe let me think later. So why I'm saying business success. I'm telling you, I talked to the Professor Chen while we walking down to this room. I serve as the post-tech presidential search committee for this current president, which happened August. We interviewed many candidates, top levels of people in South Korea in education. They keep talking to while they doing interview, they're talking about business, like a technology license, technology commercialization. They are talking about this. But I conclude, but they never do any business before. Right? They didn't do any technology license. They are the professor in chemistry department. They are professor in physics department. They never did any, you know, business. But all these top levels of people talking to the student, you should start a company. You know, start a company is so difficult. I'm struggling, you know. It's become more difficult and difficult. I don't say to my student, don't do that and start a company. But if you have very strong research outcome, I think you should do, because that's the barrier. People cannot follow. You know, if you working on simple business, you know, everybody can follow, which is very tough. This is not technology domain. You are talking about business domain. So I think it's a passion for myself. I learn from my mentors. That's what I need to do my 40s. And another one, like all this metric, whether we can get from our imaging device for my company. So that's the very tough questions. If you commercialize the medical devices, there are two main aspects. One is the safety. Your device need to be very safe to be used for human. Second one, usability, or whether it's a usefulness, whether it's a useful in real clinic. That's what called clinical studies. Currently, what we are doing, we are undergo all this safety. We try to meet the safety standard. After that, we use our machine. Once it's safe, we put our machine in the hospital. Now we need to test about usefulness. So maybe next year, if I come back, I can tell you whether our technology is useful or not. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Maybe we go for one of the online question. One of the question is about is in Korea or in your country, is there any government policy to help to attract talent, especially in the healthcare type of area? And is it any policy in the Korea saying you think helping you or helping the medical industry? Because say whether Hong Kong can learn from Korea as well.
Okay. So I think, there is no really government pushing to recruit more people in medical area, because I mean, it's naturally people moving to the healthcare area, right? It's, as I said, top department, top, job in South Korea is medical doctors. So all the students want to go to the medical school. So, but as the society become more, stabilized, people looking for the stable job. That's what people are doing. And then among them, we should, because this is the most, smartest people in the society, right? But not just they are working on the clinics. Certainly clinical work is very important. At the same time, some people, they just try to make a lot of money. In South Korea, plastic surgery is very famous. And then there's the most, highly, recognized medical doctors that they're working in plastic surgery because they want to make a lot of money. So I think, we should stop those things. We should put our talents in the more like innovation. That's why we try to make the MD, PhD program. Not just only you are doing MD, you need to do PhD. They can make some money for their living at the same time that they can do really the research. I think that's the only way I think we can take out those people. But world trend, stabilized, develop the country. I think the people are looking for the stable job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe,
There's a one over
Yes.
there. Yeah. Yeah. Just press on the button. Yep.
Testing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Kim, for the excellent talk, and it really gave me a lot of insight. I myself is a registered medical laboratory technologist in Hong Kong, and I'm currently working in hospital.
Okay.
But I really want to start up my own business.
Okay.
So I want to ask about the business in medical laboratory field. You've just talked about that you start a business by working in an education institute. But myself, I'm not working in PolyU or other universities. So my question is, what should I do if I want to start up my own business if I do not work in a university? Is there any other ways that I can start up?
So do you have any idea, like what kind of products or commercialize? That's the first thing. Okay. I would say it's difficult. Let's say, I start my company from the research lab, right? If I'm not affiliated with the university, this is a disaster. Telling you, let's say, first of all, you don't have any manpower. Okay, now you rent a room, it's empty, right? What you need to do, you need to buy the table, you need to buy the computer, these things university already has. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Research lab has, many students said, there are equipment in the research lab. They think it's useless, but that's not useless. That's expensive equipment. Outside the people never reach. There is a device called oscilloscope. In electronic engineer always use a device called oscilloscope. Price is about $30,000. All right. Students never know about this is a $30,000 equipment. They never care carefully. If they have their BMW, Mercedes, 30,000 car, they cares a lot, right? So I know beauty of the research lab in the university, you can use a lot of resources. So I would say you need to collaborate. Don't start by yourself. You need to buy the table, you need to buy the computer. At the same time, you need to control the people. It's difficult. So for the good starting point, you need to find a very good collaborator which you can share your dream and use their resources together properly. That's the best way you can start, I would think.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can raise some of the threads from the Zoom meeting room. So we have one comment from the audience, which is pretty long. I will read some of the keywords here. So Professor King, I would like to hear your views in response to the talent shortage faced by Hong Kong currently. So recently, there are two trends in Hong Kong. The first one is the loss of talents, including in the healthcare industry. So because of the situation, changing environment in the past few years in Hong Kong. The second one is the innovation and technology development. So the government has been providing some more resources to foster R&D in alignment with mainland China's national blueprints. So however, in terms of the healthcare professionals, the focus has been much on medical service providers. So there's an overlook of the scientists, research talents involved in medical innovation. So may I hear your sharing on the policies or incentives measures in Korea and Korea universities? So how can we draw government for the attention to close this gap? So what change is needed in higher education to support more students to be embarked on healthcare technology field?
All right.
Professional.
Yeah, so I know the problems. This is the difficult. So what he's asking, healthcare professionals already need to provide the medical services. Like a medical doctor need to work 8 hours per week, 8 hours per day already.
No, more than that.
More than that, right? At the same time, they're asking research. So what his question is, what kind of incentive we need to give them more? I think, everybody asking in South Korea, okay, medical doctors in the hospitals, overwhelmed. But people are asking to young medical doctor to working on research. They need to, 10 hours per day, on top of the 10 hours per day, they need to do research. No one is doing. So what kind of incentive? Money? Fame? I don't know. I think only way we can, break this one, we need to increase number of medical doctors. More medical doctors, like if you increase number twice, like a health professional in Hong Kong, maybe you have 600 medical doctors, shortage of medical, increase to 1,000, 2,000. It's automatically settled down, right? It's an open competition, basically, right? So some people try to working on, like a clinical duties more, or some people, if there are more people, they can work on, research more. But he didn't say anything. They control the number of medical doctors. So I think the assumption is wrong. If you don't control the number of doctors, I think it's a solvable problem.
Okay, yeah. So that's a very good comment. So the question actually have one more here is, so maybe I can repeat that is, so what do you think that the higher education providers like us, okay, can do to support more students to get engaged into the healthcare technology field, not just the service provision?
It's a second
No,
problem.
no, it's yeah, second, the last one.
Last one.
Towards the end, no, still the same comment from the same audience.
Oh, okay. So second, let me see. Second one, actually, what types of major technology?
No,
It's not this.
It's still the one. So what do you think the higher education providers can do to support more students to get into the healthcare technology field?
The last sentence for the first
Just the yeah,
question.
the last sentence.
Yeah. What the change? Yeah, I mean, it's again, like not just only working on medical side, they need to be merged with others, engineering and science.
Okay, so
So
working
what
together with
it's working together with the engineer, more like engineer. So if you look at the case from the University of Illinois, they have the medical schools they used to have in Chicago. But what happened? They actually closed their existing medical school and they prepared for 3 years. And then they established another medical school for engineering based. So let's say if you look at the textbook of the medical school, this is for, it's like a very conventional medical school. You are talking about pathology, you are talking about physiology stuff. But what the University of Illinois does, during the 3 years, engineers and medical physician, they sitting together, they make a new textbook. For example, if they are talking about heart, heart from engineering perspective, they using the fluid dynamics. So mechanical engineer need to be involved talking about fluid dynamics, right? So they make a new textbooks to see. So I think these types of activity need to go on because still medical education is heavily rely on old style of the textbook. So this is one way to make innovative, education in new medical schools.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe question from the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the floor, any other question? Maybe I ask you one of the technical
yeah.
part.
We have
is,
one.
yeah, maybe
Professor Yu.
yeah.
Matt.
The faculty member of the university.
Right.
Thank you.
So it's not all the same in South Korea, but Post-Tech is a private university, is very generous. If I start nowadays, when I start my company, they didn't ask any stock share. Now they asking about 5%. And then also I have a patent, through the university, we need to license the company. And then they definitely negotiate about the quality of the patent. But some university in South Korea is very strict. Sometimes they're asking about 20%, 30%, or 10%. They're forcing the faculty. Some of them, in some university, they actually recollect the salary from the company, but those kind of policies. But Post-Tech is not. The main reason I keep talking to my top levels of people, so far nothing has been success. We need to wait to see the one successful story. If it's become more successful, we start regulate all those kind of stuff. But before any success story, we need to promote. So Post-Tech is okay now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just now I want to ask is about this. Because from your system, you have this photoacoustic and then the ultrasound as well. So these two technology look like is competing each other as well, right?
Right.
So they have their advantage and disadvantage.
So ultrasound certainly, in medical devices, there is a categories. Ultrasound is a level 2, category number 2 medical devices. So approval is relatively easy.
Yeah.
Laser is a class 3 because it's not very dangerous because many people use the radiology and dermatology department already. However, it's dangerous for eyes. So it's a class 3. I would say ultrasound is okay. Laser generate all the problems. So all this regulation process. So that's the difficulties here. The class 3 medical devices approval, and also is a relatively new technology. So that's why we are struggling right now. However, so I said ultrasound is okay, laser is a problem. So another issue is price. Price is very important.
Yeah.
If you look at is the problem coming from technology push or technology pull? Typically, engineer push the technology. We make a premium medical devices, but it never work in the hospital. If you go to the hospital, space is very small. Also, it should be very easy to use. And also only few department in the hospital can afford expensive machine. So like a radiology department, they used to use expensive machine, like from MRI, CT, those are expensive. So radiology department is okay. But if you go to the other department, endocrinology, I said, dermatology, they don't have the money to buy the expensive machine. So although you develop very nice machine, if they don't have, we cannot sell it. So these things you need to consider more. Yeah.
Right.
Laser is definitely expensive. That's the problematic. So
Okay, so we have a few more questions from the audience online. So the first one is, so what do you think are the major technologies which may catch growing interest in the coming years?
okay.
Since
Which I don't know, but I really don't like these types of question because the issue is because every single year you need to change a policy, right? That's what government policy changing every year. If government policy changing everywhere, you need to change the direction everywhere. In the end, nothing is left, right? So someone need to working on for some time to build up. I think eventually how the technology going in this field, medical device, I think the technology should keep generating revenue. So what types of technology generating revenue? In terms of hardware, the device which have the very consumable part. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk to my student, every year you don't buy refrigerator, right? Once on 10 years, but you change your cell phone every 2 years. Whatever medical devices use a consumable, disposable part, I think it's going to keep growing because it's a daily they use, consumable. So this is important. That's what when we make a business model. So I said I made a two. The other part of the business model is the disposable medical devices, but in advanced form. I think this is important. Another one is digital, like AI software. AI software recently get the FDA approval a lot, really. Even in South Korea, there is an AI medical imaging company. Their stock is a rocket high this year. It's going to keep growing because once they put their software, every single patient need to pay the money for their diagnosis. It's covered by the insurance, right? So it's still kind of revenue generating business model because charge per patient. So I think these types of a business, will gain more attention.
Okay.
The big device company, is very difficult to survive. Yeah.
For startups.
For the startup,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I believe it would be very similar for the second question from the same attendee. So he mentioned about, okay, so what kind of specific healthcare needs that drive? So to be honest, I not quite understand. Maybe he want you to comment the following examples, okay, like different fields, like aging related diseases, fertility problems, and rapid antigen testing and local testing instruments.
I think the opportunities everywhere. Yeah, all the part I think generating, there are opportunity, but only thing specific part which keep generating revenue is important. I think all the problem he mentioned is important, right? We cannot say which one is more. So
Okay, so maybe we can take turn again. So any question from the floor in the room? So if no, we will keep asking the question from online, okay? So the last one we have here is, so from my personal experience, I have known a few individuals, family members who have lung cancer. So very often by the time they know it, it's already pretty late in stages 3 or 4. So it seems like present technology is still needing much more improvement for early stage diagnosis. So early stage diagnosis, how can this be achieved from a technological point of view? I think this is a very good question for early diagnosis of diseases.
It's a very difficult question. So there are multiple ways to approach. So this called, precision medicine, even further called predictive medicine or personalized medicine. So previously, when people treat the cancers, they apply the standard method. But every single person has a different family history, different genetical informations. So now it becomes more data-driven, right? Based on their personal data, and then they're making personal treatment. At the same time, in order to prevent disease, they use the data and to find the clue before disease happen. Right, they're called the preventive medicine.
Okay.
Right, it's a data-driven.
Yes.
Imaging is involved, data is involved, genetic information is involved. That's the world trend. That's what really, the future medicine goes right now. So I think, it's not simple one technology problem. We cannot say nice imaging system to find, early stage of cancer. That's not gonna work. I think it's a multiple approach based on the data. I think that's the way. And also, many countries investing money on that direction right now.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Okay, I think there one last question,
Mhm.
right? Maybe about the T-cell engineering. I don't know whether
Yes.
this is a topic, whether
Yes.
it's a T-cell engineer is something we should focus on.
Right. Definitely. But I'm very well aware of the tissue engineering because I said Postec somehow is a famous for
Yes.
tissue engineering. We have a very nice research team. So recently, I don't know whether Jeng Hao maybe has get some information from the media. In America, in America, recently people have transplanted the heart from the pig.
Yes.
Right, the patient is still alive. This is a very brand new news happened I think a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes, right, that's the future tissue engineering goes. People can use pig heart to replace disease the human heart. So that's what people are working on, artificial organs. In our cases, so tissue engineering is so broad. So, if you can specify some specific problem, I think it's much easier. But I think it's the way to go. And then our group in Posttech, they actually working on some vascular product using the 3D bioprinting to make regenerate the vascular tissues and also cardiac patches. So I don't know when it's going to be successful, but the people are really pushing in commercial direction. So yeah.
Okay. Shall we thank our speaker again?
Yeah.
For
So,
today,
let's
please invite.
Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
you so
again
much.
for your wonderful lecture. So to express our appreciation, this is all present from the university.
Thank you so much.
Actually, it's a tea inside.
I
Okay.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. It's good.
All right, then the lecture is adjourned here. Thank you everyone for coming here, and especially for those who ask questions that really make the this lecture very beautiful. Thank you again. Bye bye.